Hello, welcome to the Behance workshop. It's our third in our Lunch and Learn series for the semester, our third and final Lunch and Learn on Behance, because Behance is how we can post our work for the GIT Awards. It's also how we can start really making our portfolio while we're studying, while we're still in school. So every time you finish an assignment, post it to Behance. It's just proof of your work. It helps an employer figure out what your skills are and what kind of things you can do. And right now, as a student, you have student work, so post it to Behance. There are lots of options actually to post your portfolio online. Behance is one of them. There are many others, and so not necessarily saying that this one is the best or the one you should use, just that it has integration, one-click integration with your Adobe Creative Cloud products, and that's super helpful. And so kind of that's why we've chosen it here. All right, so welcome everybody. We're going to go ahead and jump into Behance. Whoa. So we might be wondering how to get started, maybe, and why. So let's talk about the GIT Awards. The GIT Awards are held at the end of every semester. It's our chance to recognize our graduating seniors and outstanding work done by students this semester. So whatever work you have done this semester, and since our curriculum is project-based, you should have tons of work for each class. You could post it here for the GIT Awards to have the industry vote on it. The industry is sent this Behance collection that I'll show you in a minute that we make, and they vote on the outstanding awards, and then you get a digital badge, a Crudley badge that says that you've won an award. So we're going to continue on as normal, Friday, May 1st from 5 to 7 via Zoom, and the Zoom link is right there to RSVP online. So you might be asking yourself, how do you submit? You submit via Behance, which is why we're doing this workshop. You can submit now. This will take you to the type form that you can enter your 3 pieces. So you can enter up to 3 pieces by clicking on that submit submissions now. You have to put them on Behance before you kind of get to there. All right, so upload a Behance project. You have until Saturday, April 25th at the end of the day to upload up to 3 things. Now, if you only have one thing you're ready with right now, and you'll have another thing later, you can submit twice. So once only submit one time, and the other one only submit one, but no more than 3 total. So if you're ready to do all 3 at once, that form will get you all 3, we'll take all 3 at once. So that's how that kind of works. All right. Behance is Adobe's kind of social network for graphic design. And so it's linked directly to your Creative Cloud account. So you can see I'm logged in here. You can use your same Creative Cloud account. You're signing in with that same username and password. And then we can connect your Creative Cloud, like Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, to this account, which gives you that one-click upload option, which is pretty nice. And then it's also kind of a social network, so you can connect with other people, connect with your classmates, connect your teammates. So if you're working on a project that's teamwork, you can actually cite all of those users within here. And so as a social network, I'm signed in, it starts to show me a feed of graphics, right? And so here are all the people I follow: Ari, Maritza, people you know, Kayla. And so I'll start to scroll through, and just like any kind of social network, I can see a feed of the work that I follow, whether it's people or I can follow concepts, like following a hashtag or something. All right, so I can see kind of the projects that y'all are working on, and this is how I kind of keep connected with the kind of work that we do in the GIT program. And then of course, if we're all using the same platform, then we can connect when we're doing group work and stuff, which is absolutely you should do, right? Absolutely post your group work, making sure to cite kind of what you did and what your teammates did, but always leading with kind of the finished product, because that's the point, right? That's the thing that's going to catch someone's eye. As we're going through the presentation today, you are welcome to kind of raise your hand in the participants window when you have a question. And you can also feel free to type it in the chat. I would be happy to stop and answer, just like we would in real life. We're in real life right now, but in person. I am missing the sweet tacos that we usually have for lunch and learn, but a sandwich from my kitchen later will be fine. All right, any questions now? Anyone not know what I meant by raising your hand in the participants window or the chat? You can open those windows by clicking on the icons at the bottom of your Zoom window. You should see audio, video, participants, polling, share, pause, annotate. Oh, that's record. Okay, I will take the deafening silence as you're following along with me. Okay. Okay, so this is Behance. It's your kind of design social network. If I found some new work, I'll take a look at this one from Ari. I can click on it to see the whole project. Really nice. And I can kind of look at the posts that she has there, and then I can also save it. So I can add it to a mood board that I have, which is, this used to be called Collection. If you were using Behance from way back, it's now called Mood Board. I use that as a collection of all of the GIT submissions for the semester. So spring 2020 has a collection or a mood board. And then also I can appreciate the work there. So that's, a thumbs up or a like. And then I can also see the tools that are used to create this. So Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign. And all of those are tags within the project that we're going to upload. So it's great to see how it looks on the other side. We'll look on how to add all of that in so people can search and find that information for you. All right, so this is an example of something that I'd be following in my feed, and I could kind of take a look at and see what's happening here. And I'll point out that I think that this format is perfect for work. Nice job, Ari. So at the top, kind of leading with that final product, right? Instead of thinking of it as a narrative, which we will, like, here was my objective, and here was the client brief, or step by step by step with the final product at the bottom. We actually want to lead with it at the top. So just like a resume, your portfolio, you want to lead with that final project so that you can entice the viewer to want to know more about it. So now that I've seen the final finished product, I go, ooh, that's really interesting. I wonder how that worked. And now I have a narrative, right? On how it happened and how it kind of came together. Ari, I'm going to assume you used Illustrator to put together this file, yeah?
I used Illustrator on designing the logo and the icons, and then InDesign to put together the file, and then Photoshop to do the actual mock-ups that show it as it is in a book.
Nice. Perfect. And so this post on Behance, though, is one image that you put in from InDesign, or did you chunk it out?
No, it is several smaller images. Pretty much I made the brand guide as a print book and just exported it from InDesign as images. So each of the pages is still individual, so you can view it as if you were viewing it in the PDF. That's why it still has the page numbers at the bottom.
Excellent. Yeah, so we'll talk about the different ways that you can upload your work from their originals and post them onto Behance. This is a really great way to do it, in that it was designed in an Illustrator file for the book, and then exporting each page of the book out as a separate image. And then you get sort of the effect of being able to see the whole thing at once, or you can drill in and look at the different pages. So this is one of the options in doing that. The trade-off is this is an image. So where there's content, it's not actually being recognized as content from search engines. It's being recognized as an image.
Right.
In this visual medium, that's a trade-off that makes sense. Awesome. All right, thanks. You didn't volunteer, I just showed yours, but I thank you for being helpful and talking about it and having a great
Yeah.
example.
That's I only just added it this morning before the
Look at that, it's new. It's got 2 views now. I liked it. I don't know why it's not popping up yet, but whatever. Okay, awesome. So Behance, a social network for designers. You can follow artists, you can follow hashtags or categories of things. You can start to follow your friends in GIT and connect with them when you're doing group work and that sort of thing. So it's a display that is going to basically be your portfolio. You can use this as proof of your portfolio. It is not necessarily your overall portfolio. You might have a portfolio website. You might kind of use this to store your work and embed it into your website. With WordPress, there's a plugin to display Behance content that way. And as we're getting started in our careers, this is a great way to kind of get started with that portfolio, is keep your pieces here stored on the web, and then I create collections to share out. So let's take a look at one of my collections, which is now called Mood Boards. All right, so if we're going to our profile, it's like any other social network. You have the opportunity to edit the background with a cover photo, and then your profile picture. All of these things we'll take a look at today. And here's the mood board. So if I'm looking at the work tab, this is all the work that I've done. There's not much, only because I don't have a need to put my work online at this point, because I have a job and whatnot. But should be, all of the work I should be keeping up with is there. When I click on mood boards, I can see all of the different mood boards I have. Now, you could be using mood board literally as a mood board and taking in work that is inspiring your ideas. So if you're looking for ideas for whatever project you're working on, you might search through Behance and start to collect them all, sort of in a Pinterest folder, if you will, and certainly Pinterest would do that as well, into these different collections. All of my collections are your work. So here's the GIT Awards for this semester, spring 2020. And you can see we already have 2 submissions, so they're already in there. As they start to come in, you'll see more and more added every day. In fact, let's look at fall 2019. And you can see that there are 40 entries here for GIT Awards fall 19. Actually, I think there's well more than that. I think some people took theirs down, which is fine. So you can see the works from the previous semesters, and then I broke them down into their categories. So specifically fall 19, animation and motion. So you can take a look at the projects there. All right, so that's how we're kind of saving those. And then appreciations, you can see all of the things that I've gone in and liked. You can also follow those that way. All right, so that's just an overview on what kind of Behance is and how we use it. Jake, question, go ahead.
Yes, are we going to be having the same categories as last semester?
Absolutely, that's a great question. So last semester, we implemented the category award categories, which are listed on the website links.asu.edu/GIT awards. I'll add that to the channel, the Slack channel. I can add it here too. Really. Links.asu.edu/ bless my heart, I just misspelled literally every word in that and added 2 periods. Why? Typing hard, need help. All right, GIT awards. There are categories. So the first one is branding systems and campaigns. And then there's a description of what that might be, a collection of elements that work together to create a unified and consistent brand, including brand systems, communication guides, cross-media campaigns, social media campaigns. And you could read through. So the categories are branding systems, animation and motion graphics, digital products, illustrations and composites, photography, print and digital, user experience, and video. And so if you click on any of these, it'll jump down to that category so that you can see what kind of things that might include. Video might include video direction, post-production, editing, storyboarding, video capture, visual effects, that sort of thing. Great question, Jake. Any follow-up on that or follow-up from anyone? You can go ahead and raise your hand in the participation window, or you can use the group chat to type it out if you prefer. All right, yeah, so there are categories there. When you go to submit in the GIT Awards, you'll have to have your Behance link ready and posted. So if we were to just write in some stuff, .com, there you go. You would paste in your URL from Behance, and then you would add, I'll just copy and paste that one into the submissions. And then it would ask you, hey, what category best fits that? And you can get the category descriptions on the website, or just click on one of these: animation, branding, digital products, which is that one. So then it'll say, hey, within digital products, what kind of best describes this? And it's a user interface or a prototype. So I'll go ahead and click on that. And then it'll ask if I have a second submission. Angela asked, does this link include the categories before submitting, or can you see it? I'm not finding them. Yeah, so in the GIT Awards website, you can look at the submit button and click down to the categories. I'll go ahead and add that to the chat now. Great question. Awesome. So first you post to Behance, and then you submit them to the GIT Awards. All right, so looking at getting started, we first have to Behance account that they're free. So if you already have Adobe CC, you already have that. You use the same credentials. Jake.
So about if we were to submit something that we worked with in a group, is there a feature on the GIT Awards to list our partners, or will that just be included within our Behance?
That's a great question. So hopefully the group work that you're posting, which you should post, group work is perfectly acceptable for the awards and for Behance in your portfolio. Share those group works. That's a great way to say how kind of all of this came together. You can also cite those people in your Behance submission. So as long as they're on Behance, I'll show you where you can go to kind of add your teammates in. If for some reason they're not on Behance, you can actually type that into the submission as well to let people know it was a group work and here's who I'm going to cite who co-authored this with me. Great question.
Thank you.
All right. The last day to submit, Anna, is April 25th, just the week before the awards. Great question. All right, so you're using the same Adobe CC credentials that you already have. If you don't have an account with Adobe Creative Cloud at this time, you can still create an ID for free, so you can go ahead and start that. I've included some resources that you can open later, and I'll have this posted on the GIT Slack club channel later. So 12 ways to get the most from Behance, where you can go to get Behance help. Adobe's HelpX Behance, and then there's a whole course on learning Behance on LinkedIn Learning, so I've linked to it for there. All right, so our profile, that's where we kind of started with this. the first thing you want to do is make sure you have all of your profile bits in, right? This is your opportunity to give a little bit more information and tell about yourself. And so if we're looking, sorry, I left Behance, cool. To use this as sort of our resume, which you can actually do, it could be your resume and your portfolio. It's nice that they logged me out into a different account too. Good times. Nope. Good times. Hang on one sec. You can use this to change your cover letter and your cover and your profile picture, and add in your credentials, what you've been working on, how you've been working on stuff. So one of the things is, of course, I have 2 accounts with Adobe, and so they always kind of get mixed up. One through work and one is my own. Good times. Yay. You can put in your work, like when your jobs that you've had, the kind of work that you like to do. The other things are your banner, your bio, social media links, of course, limiting those to your professional accounts, not your personal accounts. You can actually use this as your resume, and I would say is getting started and being in your academic career, use this, right? Use this as your resume, and show your work and show your work experience and connect with the teams that you're likely working with already within the GIT program, because they will likely be here as well. All right, so back to where this was. When you click on your profile picture, it takes you to your own profile. That's where you have the opportunity to add this and some information about you. Now, you should share what you're comfortable with. If you don't feel comfortable putting your face on there, use an avatar, that sort of thing. And if you consider this as kind of your resume and your portfolio, then you use the guidelines that you want to add on those that you think are you're comfortable with sharing. I can see from here, like how many project views I have, appreciations, followers, and how many people I'm following, as well as some of the teams that I work with. So if you have teams that you're working with from different organizations, you can be a part of those teams here, so you can kind of see the work. So when I click on the GIT created agency, then you can see the work that the agency has been doing in the past. And it starts to add these little pro tools. So because everything I've posted so far has been in Illustrator, it's sort of categorizing that as a pro, which is, I don't know, helpful. Then you have a bio where you can tell a little bit about yourself, but in here you can actually start to edit this, and you can start to add in all of your information like you would in a resume. So we go to Behance profile. Okay, should have popped up with an interface. Let's just try that again. Good times. Okay, super weird. And now I'm logged out. The internet is fun. Okay, finally, back to this page where we can see all of our settings and notifications. If you have, like I do, 2 different Adobe IDs, one for work and one for home, you can connect them here so that you can use them from any platform that you're on. So it'll start to recognize work from both of those things. And of course, you can switch your notifications. All right. So editing your profile would be a great place to kind of add the teams that you're working on, add your professional links to your kind of resume or profile. adding a brief bio on what it is, who you are, what you do, and why it matters. And then you can start to add your work experience there, and any web references that you have. So you can see that you can add really everything you need for a resume as well as your work. So your resume and your portfolio kind of tied into one. Of course, this is one approach to this. There are many approaches. But you could use this. This would work well. All right. So profile, using that opportunity to kind of make you and your work transparent, and who you are. The next thing we want to do is add our Behance project. And there are a couple of approaches to this. There's using the Behance template, and then there's kind of using your own InDesign layout. The Behance template gives you some limited capabilities to add content, whereas the InDesign will kind of give you full control over that. So the example we worked on earlier, looking at Ari's submission, is done in InDesign and then exported as images and then compiled back together in the project so that it has this nice kind of uniform, very styled in the way that she wants it interface. I think that works great and is a good approach for your work on this visual platform. It doesn't have any semantics. It can't follow SEO, but you can add that in with the tags on your Behance project. So we'll get into that. So the second way to do that, there's one is the Behance template and the other is the InDesign. The pros for the doing the Behance template is that it's accessible, it's searchable, and it's customizable within certain constraints, and it has seamless integration with Adobe Creative Cloud. So if you're an illustrator and you just finished something and you have your accounts linked, you can go to File and Share on Behance, and boom, it's up there, which is kind of awesome. And then you can go in through the template and just kind of add in your additional information. The cons are that you're working within the design constraints and that the interface itself is a little bit wonky. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. I have the controls here in the presentation, but I'm going to go ahead and show you live. So as I upload this presentation later, you'll be able to kind of go through step by step, but I'll go ahead and do it live right now. All right, so anywhere from Behance, whether you're on the home page or you're on your profile page, you'll see this button at the top in blue, Create a Project. We'll go ahead and click on that. When you get to create a project, you have basically two navigations here. You have this left sidebar with the exact same functionality as you do in sort of the main content area. So you can kind of upload whichever one, you can use either one that you feel comfortable using. The first thing you might do is upload some files. So let's go ahead and click on Upload a File. I'm going to actually look at a project that I have been working on, and I will share that screen with you. Hang on one sec. All right. This is a project that I recently worked on. Sticker Mule was giving like half-price holographic stickers, and so I very quickly threw something together so that I could print it in holographic stickers. Thanks, Angela. And this was the product that I went with. If my Illustrator was connected to my Behance, which it's not because I have two separate accounts and it gets a little wonky, but I could. If I went to File, there would be this, there would be a button here that said Share to Behance, and I would just click it and it would be up there, which is awesome. In this case, it's not. So I'm going to go ahead and save this Illustrator out as my holographic sticker, and I'm going to save it as, oops, not save as, sorry. Export for screens, and I'll go ahead and save it as my artboard in there as a PNG. That'd be fine. Sure, replace whatever that was. All right, so to get to the Behance template, if my files, if you don't have multiple IDs like I do, you can just go to File and then Share to Behance. It'll be here with the like saves and exports. All right, and then I'll go over to my Behance page and I'll upload a file. And I'll just then look for that file where it is. I believe it called it artboard, which is fine. And now you'll see that image on your Behance project. Now I can insert lots of other things too. So text I can embed in media. So if I have a video or other things, I can go ahead and add that here. If you click on the embed, it tells you can upload from the Adobe Community Platform, Adobe Spark, Adobe Voice, Adobe XD, Facebook, Giphy, Google Maps, all of this stuff. So if you click more, there's a whole bunch. But I think the most relevant to you is probably going to be YouTube and XD for your prototyping and video projects. And now I can start to customize this page any way I want to. This is a very simple project and it was just one sticker. So I don't have a lot of story to tell. I'll still lead with that final project. So here's my final project. And then I might tell a little bit more about it and I'll start to add some text where I can say holographic sticker project. And then if I hover over it and click the pencil, that is when I will get to edit text. And this is where the wonky interface becomes a problem. Once I hover over the text and click on that pencil, I can edit that text. Ugh, so annoying. If I triple or double click on it, then I get the editing software. So wonky. A little bit wonky. And now I can change the style of whatever. All right, so I can use this interface to kind of put stuff in. I can upload files. They have to be image files, right? A PDF is not an image, so that doesn't work so good. You want to have an image file. You can add some text, so you can add some headers and you can add some body text or subheads. You can embed some media, and I think with illustration, like if I had videoed this on Procreate while I was doing it, that could be an interesting thing to kind of put in there as well. You can import directly from Lightroom photos, or you can set this to be more of a photo grid. And if you put the photos in there, it'll start to kind of edit those and put those in the space that makes sense. All right, just for sake of time, I'll go ahead and move forward with this. I've uploaded all of the files I want. I've added all the text that I want to. I think in this space, this is where you want to tell your story. Here's the final project. Here's all the things that went into that. Here was the objectives, the constraints, and who did what if this is on a team. And then even maybe takeaways to like, what would you do next time if you were doing this? Or whatever pieces of information that are relevant for this project, you should add here and tell that story. Again, always leading with the final product on top, because that's really the most important thing to grab attention of the viewers. If you worked on a group project, put the full group project there, right? So maybe you worked together on a prototype and someone did the coding and someone did the designing and someone made all of the icons, and maybe you just made the icons, which is awesome. Don't just put the icons at the top of the page, put the whole thing. At the story part where you're telling your story, make sure that you show off those icons and how you created them, and that was the part that you did, but always lead with that final project so that people can get an idea of the context of the work that you were doing. All right, any questions before I kind of move on to the next step in your upload of a project? No. Okay. Okay, so the next step in the project you would think is to continue or save, but yeah, no. You have the cover to go to next. So you can either click on the tab that says cover, or you can hit continue. If you hit save, it's going to save it and you'll have to come back into it. So continue, or you go to the second chunk that's called cover. Here's where you're going to put the image that's going to represent the project. So if you remember back to the home page where I had my feed of all of the projects that were going on, this is that thumbnail. So you can upload an image. There are constraints to this. It has to be within a certain size. And so here I've tried to do something that's not within it. It says, please choose an image that's at least 632 pixels tall. And so you can see that my image that I uploaded earlier is actually 216 by 216, so it's not big enough. So what I would do is go back into Illustrator and I would make a bigger file of this. I would want to make it so it's at least 632. I won't waste time doing that here, although I think I have to if it's going to let me go on. So that's cool. We'll go ahead and go back to Illustrator real quick and we'll just export it for bigger. Yeah, that should do it. Sure. So back in the interface, we'll upload that image, and I would customize this. I would make this as enticing as I can. So in this case, I have a very simple image, and that's my final output, and it's also my final project. If I had a big project that in the image space was too big, like it would lose the detail, it was more intricate or complex, then I might lead with one piece of it, right? So if I made a website, maybe I would save, and a logo, maybe I would share with the logo. If I have kind of user experience, I might save like a really impressive data points, like 90% increase of users or something like that to kind of entice. This is that thumbnail that's going to do this. So awesome. It didn't take my pixels because it was not 808 wide. So again, wonkiness with this whole thing. Oh, it has to have 800. Cool. So this is what I'll do. I'll go into Illustrator and I'll make my artboard bigger. Doo, doo. Okay, super annoying, and it's not going to be amazing, but it'll work and it'll be fine for the demonstration purposes. All right, so we'll upload that image, and again, customize that image. That might be the first thing that people are coming into to see for your project. So holographic sticker, and then you can change the attributes here and then hit crop and continue. That takes you into your project settings. And this is where you really want to spend your time if you're looking for that searchability, that SEO. So if we're going to enter in images through InDesign or design this project through InDesign rather than use that Behance template, this is where we're going to gain all of the SEO that we lost by making images, right? So you can say, thanks, Jake, that sticker is super cool. I will give you one when I see you in real life. Oh, you have one, there it is. Yeah, thanks. It is kind of badass. In your creative fields, you want to go ahead and choose up to 3 if you have one. And so in this one, I just might call it graphic design. I'm not sure that it fits really into any other category, so I'll hit done. The tools that I used were Adobe Illustrator. So this is where you can cite kind of all of the softwares that you used to create this program. And then it'll cite then on your project, it'll go ahead and add that Illustrator button, which is really nice. The co-owners, this is where you add the people that also own this project, right? Who helped you with it. You could type their names in here and you'd start to see their information. I'm trying to find like, so it'll start to kind of cite those people and you can click on their names to connect them to this work. So if you have group work, absolutely co-owners right there. I don't have any in this project, so I'm going to go ahead and move forward. You can edit the copyright and license. So you can set a Creative Commons on this, or it automatically comes in as all rights reserved so that it's yours and no one else can take it. If you have content that is adult in nature, and if you're a photographer or an illustrator and you have products with nudes, that's fine. And that's fine for GIT awards. But you do want to go ahead and click that adult content so that users that are under a certain age, it'll filter those out for you. Yeah, for the GIT awards, you can't click that because then the viewers, the industry can't see it unless they have a Behance account, and many of them don't. So don't do it for GIT awards. And then after the GIT awards, you'll have to click that so that you can filter that content appropriately. And here's another tricky spot in its UX. If you hit save or publish, which it is encouraging you to do, you will miss out on these two tabs, display and discoverability, and these are necessary. So we'll go ahead to the next tab and see display, and it's set to display on Behance. You can disable comments here, although I would encourage you not to, because even if your comments are negative, you can respond to them in a positive way, which is a great opportunity. And if you don't want to deal with that, you'll click that off. Again, they're pushing you to hit save or publish, but you want to hit discoverability and write some sort of project. This was a test of printing holographic stickers. And then the tags that I might use are stickers, holographic, I don't know, cactus, stuff like that. Under companies and brands, you want to go ahead and add ASUs. So Arizona State, there we are, Arizona State University. And then you could also cite Graphic Information Technology or AIGA Poly or whatever group you're working with. And hit done. If you were working with a team, which is not to say individuals that you were working with, but that you have an established team, like the teams that were listed on my page, like the GIT Creative Agency or AIGA Poly, I could cite them here with the teams. So AIGA, so you can see all the AIGA groups that are there, and AIGA Poly. So I could cite that there. I didn't really do it with anyone. And credits. So anyone else you want to give credit to this product. So in the first panel, you were kind of citing the people that worked on it, your owners. And here you might credit people who inspired you or something like that. All right, so this is how you get a project found, by viewing all three of these tabs. And now you want to go ahead and save and then publish. Oh, which it'll walk you through if you don't do it again. Sorry. All right, and now this is published work. I can copy this link here. This is what I'm looking for to submit to the GIT Awards. And I can also promote this on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and LinkedIn with these buttons. And of course, I can always grab the link and share it at a later time. But this gives you automatic kind of one-click integration. Ashley wants a sticker. You don't have one? I'll get you one. All right, so that's how we add work. And so now we're here in the project live. It's been published. You can see that I used the Illustrator tools. So by citing Illustrator, it added that there. I can now add this to a mood board or appreciate it, and then see other projects that I've been working on. Any questions on adding a project and all of the buttons and all of the kind of tags that you want to add in on it? Those are really important. Those would help searchability, so that when I am looking for inspiration and I go into search Behance and I want to search holographic stickers, I doubt mine will come up because we just put it on, so it hasn't been time to be indexed yet. But now I can see other examples with holographic stickers. And eventually, when mine is integrated into the fold, it'll be showed there too. So that'll help kind of findability. Findability? Yeah, okay. The second way to upload projects is to go through InDesign. So here in the presentation, I have all those step-by-step for you. And so you can see it in the video later or in this project that I'll put up. The second way is to do an InDesign layout. The pro is it's pixel perfect. So you can open an InDesign file at 1605 width, 1605 pixels. It's more dynamic. You have control over everything. It's not going to be pixel based. You can make things that are different shapes and different sizes and circles and all of that you can't do with the Behance template. But the cons are it's not accessible and it's not searchable. So you have to use that interface and fill out all of those questions within all of those tabs so that when you upload a project, it can be searchable. So that is another way to go with it, and it looks really nice. And this is exactly how Ari approached her project. Is she has one long Illustrator file that has the whole thing, the whole project, and then saved it out in little chunks. So if I click this in Behance, this comes up. You can see it piece by piece, or you can see the whole thing at once. This is all an image, right? So it's not getting that automatic search engine accessibility, but we'll build that in later. So here, this is a project from Sanharia, a graduate from 2 years ago, and she led with the final project. Here's what it looks like. And she's using this sort of template mock-up to say what it would look like on a laptop, which is really great. And then she puts her website there in the screen. And then each chunk along the way will explain kind of how she did it and how she approached. That's just a really nice way to get a pixel perfect kind of control over the final product. Once you get your projects on Behance, you want to make them as visible as possible. So making sure you have all those tags, making sure you're sharing them out to your social media, making sure you're tagging yourself within ASU and citing your friends and making sure all of those connections are being made. But then also Behance does a Feature Friday. And if you hashtag your work with Behance, they will choose some work to show every single Friday. So letting Behance sort of amplify your reach and amplify the projects that you're working on. And that's how you use Behance in a very quick overview kind of way. What kind of questions can I answer for you all about Behance or the GIT Awards, or how kind of all of this stuff comes together? You can feel free to raise your hands in the participants window. Angela, go ahead.
I had a question. So I know that Behance is more for graphic design. I was wondering if you had any recommendations for students who were interested in focusing on showcasing HTML and CSS. I have a GitHub right now with a website. I just wasn't sure if there were any other, I guess, platforms that you would recommend specifically for, I guess, HTML, CSS, JavaScript.
Yeah, so I would recommend codepen.io.
Okay.
And we use that in 337 as well. And so this is a really great way to kind of see little proofs of your work, little validations. Throughout this program, GIT program, we don't necessarily have time to do like a whole website, right? Because a whole website is a big thing. That's not just an assignment. That's more of your senior project, right? And so what we do is web pages and little things. And so this is a great opportunity to do a little snippet of something to show you can do it. Now, you know, all of mine are done for class, so none of them are exactly show worthy or portfolio worthy, but this could be your portfolio for web. Having this kind of validation of your work and all of the different things that you know how to do without having to worry about having them collected into a whole website and make that make sense, which is a much bigger project than you'd want to take on really for a class project. So CodePen, but GitHub is perfect as well. I would totally recommend that.
Okay, thank
Great
you.
question. Yeah. Any other questions? For animators and modelers, yeah. Animation Magazine, ArtStation, or Dribble. Yeah, Dribble is also another one that I would totally use. Any other questions about GIT awards or Behance or Professor Perez Fox's crazy background? It's like you're in Wonderland.
It's Dazzle camouflage.
Nice.
So you can see I'm wearing a white shirt, so I blend right in. No one can see where my body ends and the background just.
I like it. My son has been using the shark from Finding Nemo. So he just has a giant blue shark just like over his head all the time. Questions about Behance, GIT awards, what I'm eating for lunch. Am I wearing my pajamas?
Cafe Rio has taco deals all week.
Cafe Rio. I am getting tired of eating homemade food. Martella says, for an art educator who has to display a variety of skills, both digital and physical, would photographs of work be okay? Also, I hopped in late. Yeah, no worries. You're welcome to come in whenever. That's a really great question. So absolutely, you could display photographs of physical things. I think that's a really good idea. Portfolios can be digital and they can be physical. And we always, this is a big debate still within design educators, is do you have to have both? Or do you kind of just go digital? And I think that's kind of depends on the kind of work that you do. And so since you have physical items that you'd want to show, you can't do that in a digital environment. So for example, today, if you're applying for a job, you're not going to have an in-person interview. You're not going to be able to take those physical items. But what would be a great idea is to photograph those items. And so whether you could do kind of a nice white box, kind of a makeshift put together kind of white box to take nice photos of your physical item, or a 3D representation of it, or to give proof that that is a thing that you're doing. Absolutely. Photographs would always be okay of that. And I think that it's a good idea to put those into your digital items as well. So if you were to have an in-person interview, it would be based on a digital portfolio. They're not going to have you come in without having seen proof that you can do stuff. So you might as well have photos of that physical thing. Great question. You're welcome. Questions, complaints, anecdotes? Deafening silence. Oh, good job. Nice, nice work. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today on our Behance Lunch and Learn. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I am always available via Slack. I apparently don't need sleep anymore. So hit me up anytime. I'll go ahead and put a list of these links in the GIT Club channel in Behance or in Slack. Thanks. I'll stick around if you have questions. Otherwise, have a great one. Bye. Yes, there will be a copy of the presentation put out on Slack, as well as the recording from this, so you can catch all of the things you missed before you got here. Thanks for joining us. In Slack, Marcella. Thanks, Angela.